2011 meeting of the Robertson County Commission. I recognize Pastor Maury Davis of the Cornerstone Church to do our invocation, and followed by the pledge to the flag. Please stand. Pastor Davis.
Thank you. Would you bow your heads? Father, we thank you for the incredible opportunity to call upon your power, your grace, your wisdom, your understanding and insight. God, we live in difficult times, and we need the wisdom of heaven to navigate the situations and circumstances we face in our society. God, I pray for the men and women that lead this commission, that you would give them that wisdom. And I pray that you would give them a heart that is pure and true, a compassion for people, and an understanding of what the next generation needs for us to leave behind. I pray for your blessing on this meeting tonight, on the people that give of their time and their talent to serve their community. Pray you would do that in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grateful to Pastor Davis and his lovely wife Gail for joining us. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
This time, if you will press yes and confirm, you will be registered in the system. There being 23 commissioners present and one absent, I declare that we do have a quorum. Commissioners, you have in your packets or online the minutes from the previous meeting. What's your pleasure? Have a motion for approval by Commissioner DeOrio and a second by Commissioner Dars. Any additions or corrections? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no, so they are approved. Very briefly, under communications, you also have in your packet a letter from the Comptroller's Office. This office received a request on March 27 for approval to issue a 3-year interfund capital outlay note in an amount not to exceed $500,000 to be known as the remodel project on school system facility located at 800 MS Couts Boulevard in Springfield. Interfund loan capital outlay series note 2012, the note. So that is there for your review, and as is now the regulation in the Comptroller's Office, when you have passed a resolution, it's incumbent upon the chair at the next meeting to remind you that that was done at the previous meeting. So that was why that was included in your packet. The only other communication that I have is a thank you to Mr. Tommy Baggett and Mr. Joel Perry, and two workers from the Judges Court who went over to the Senior Citizen Center recently and painted 2 rooms that will be used for Meals on Wheels. That Meals on Wheels was basically forced to leave the Senior Center about 3 years ago. They have been at First Presbyterian Church there in the basement. They're now moving back, and very grateful to Tommy and Joel and those that assisted in painting those rooms and making it look nice for Meals on Wheels to return. So once again, a big thank you on behalf of the Robertson County community for you doing that. Next are reports, and the first report that the chair has is from the Veteran Service Officer, 7.1, questions or comments. 7.2 is from the Highway Department, questions or comments. 7.3 is the Trustee's Statement of Funds, questions or comments. 7.4 is from the Fire Committee, questions or comments. 7.5 is from EMA.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
I'd like to ask
Ms. Stubblefield.
I'd like to ask a question about this report. I noticed under hazardous materials it's showing A, Mountco Highway, with the diesel release. It's my understanding that that was released several months ago, and that it shouldn't be on this report, but it's continuously on this report. Okay.
Well, now the chair, the last time I spoke to Mr. Douglas about that was still an active scene. It was an active scene as recently as February or March, but
a letter went out to release it.
January, a letter went out
that it was no longer an active scene. Okay. Well, we'll make that correction. Mr. Dars.
I saw RL day before yesterday, and I asked about that same thing, and he informed me he just got a letter from the state, and that was going to be released, and it's probably off next month.
Okay, okay. Had not been advised of that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Commissioner Stubblefield. 7.6 is from the Finance Office. Questions or comments? 7.7 is from the Planning Commission. Questions or comments? 7.8 is from EMS. Questions or comments? 7.9 is from Gore McBain Public Library. Questions or comments? 7.10 is from Animal Control. Questions or comments? 7.11 is the Prisoner Expense Report. Questions or comments? That's all the reports the chair has. What's your pleasure? Commissioner Jones moves they be accepted and ordered filed. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Baggett. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. So they are approved. We'll recognize now Commissioner Billy Vogel, who is chairman of the nominating committee for nominations from this body. Commissioner Vogel.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Clerk, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, the nominating committee met Monday, and we had some more or less some cleanup work to do. The equalization, hey, I'll take a second, then I'll discuss this.
Second by Commissioner Jones.
All right, thank you, Bobby. The equalization board, we got William Jones, Bob Liscombe, and Don Baker, and then we got Lynn Couch and Jeff Bradley, terms in 2014. The 911 board, Russell Gupton. And Municipal Solid Waste Regional Board, we got Alan Ellis representing the city of Springfield and Prince Green be representing the county.
Motion and a second. Ready to vote? Commissioner Gray? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. So they are approved. Commissioner Stubblefield, point of order.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that we also add to the minutes tonight, Matt Burnett to be on the Economic Development Board, please.
There was a vacancy came on that board as of Friday morning. Mr. Kenneth Mason has resigned, and the board has asked that Matt Burnett replace Kenneth Mason. So,
let me just go a little further on that.
Mr. Baggett.
Mr. Baggett's going to second it. Thank you, Tommy. Well, we had that resignation since the nominate committee met, and instead of us meeting, thought it'd be nice just bring him up off the floor tonight and let y'all vote on this, and we can move on with it.
Ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. So Mr. Burnett is elected. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We recognize now Mrs. Martha Wilkinson, our Director of Planning. If you are here to speak in favor of or in opposition to a rezoning resolution, please stand and give the clerk your name, and you will be recognized. Mrs. Martha.
Okay, we just have the one resolution tonight, and it's for Mr. Ned Feaster. He is requesting that 1.18 acres located on Heritage Hills Drive, 8th Civil District, the 7th voting district, receive a change of zoning from AG 2 agricultural residential to R40, which is low density residential. The Planning Commission looked at this at our last meeting, and a vote of 9-0 for you to rezone.
Anyone here to speak to this resolution? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at this time and bring this resolution to the floor for your consideration. Have a motion for approval by Commissioner DiOrio, and I'll need a second if you will put that in your device here. Second by Commissioner Bryant. Ready to vote? If you're in favor of this rezoning resolution, please vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 23 votes in favor, none opposed, one absent, I declare that resolution adopted. Thank you, Mrs. Wilkinson. For new resolutions, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Adcock, who is chairman of the Budget Committee, for the first two resolutions. One is the amend budget year ending June 30 of 2012. It deals with the Circuit and General Sessions Court. Commissioner Adcock.
Fellow commissioners, we have resolution 041612-025. It's a balanced budget resolution. I make a motion to approve it. If I get a second, I'll
Motion and a second.
try to explain it.
Second by Commissioner Jackson.
This resolution is actually moving an employee from the circuit court clerk office to the judge's Glover's, and they're moving the money and the employee. It's just a balanced budget amendment.
Any questions or comments? Questions been called for, seeing no opposition to question being put. If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 23 votes in favor, none opposed, and one absent, I declare that resolution adopted. Commissioner Adcock.
The second resolution is 041612-026. This resolution is also balanced. It's from the clerk's office. It's moving some capital outlay stuff around to go buy some computers. They have some outdated computers.
Motion on the floor and a second from Commissioner Dorio. Any discussion? Seeing none, if you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 23 votes in favor, none opposed, one absent, I declare that resolution adopted. Thank you, Commissioner Adcock. I'm recognize now Commissioner Tommy Baggett for a resolution transferring vacation time within the Finance Office. Finance Chairman Tommy Baggett.
Mr. Bradley, Madam Clerk, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, this is one of those pleasurable resolutions that we have tonight. It's 041612-027, and it's actually to transfer sick time from Jody Stewart to Kendrick Shelton. 75 hours sick time for care of the family members. And I would move for the passage of that resolution.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Doris. Any discussion of this motion?
Mayor Bradley, I don't really have any objection to this, but I do want to say that over the course of 18 months, nearly 2 years that I've been on the commission, we've considered, probably 3 or 4 of these, and there doesn't seem to be any real rhyme or reason, amount of hours. It all seems to be departmental. I think this may penalize somebody that's in a small department, and I'd like to see our personnel committee look at this and come up with some guidelines. I mean, I've worked at several places that had sick banks. You looked at how long the employee had been there, how much time you could transfer. I mean, I think that we need to make it a point to make sure that each employee is treated fairly, and I just would like to throw that out to see if we could get somebody looking at it.
Well made, Commissioner. I agree. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. Being 23 votes in favor, none opposed, and one absent, I declare that resolution approved. I'm going to recognize now Commissioner Bryant, who is chairman of the Solid Waste Committee, for a resolution that comes to us via the Comptroller's Office in regards to setting aside funds for future capital outlay. Commissioner Bryant.
Thank you, Mayor Bradley. Madam Clerk, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. This resolution number 041612-028 comes to you from the Sanitation Department. Resolution to establish reserve account line item in the Robertson County Sanitation Fund. Whereas from time to time, due to the nature of the work, the Robertson County landfill has need to replace equipment and thus make capital outlay equipment purchases. And whereas the Robertson County Solid Waste and the County Budget Committee have reviewed these circumstances and have recommended that a new line item be created in the Robertson County Sanitation Fund budget, being reserve account number 34675, and that there be allowed a reduction from the landfill ending fund balance each year in the amount of $80,000 for the next 5 years, beginning July 1, 2012. And that said fund be allocated to capital outlay equipment purchases for the landfill. Since this being a new line item for the sanitation department, and I know there's going to be some questions about it, I'd like at this time to make a motion that we make Randall Pugh a member of this commission to explain any questions you have.
Mr. Bryant, let's first get a second on
Okay.
on the motion. Is there a second by Commissioner Jackson? Okay. And the chair will entertain a motion to make Mr. Pugh a member of the body. Have a motion, second by Commissioner Doris. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. So, Mr. Pugh, if you'll join us up here, please. Probably explain more of the detail of this particular resolution. Randall Pugh, Solid Waste Director.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
Well, the first one I had when I read it is, does this include the front-end loader you just bought?
That's already paid for. This is setting aside for major capital outlays we're gonna have coming up in the future. There's a roll-off truck that needs to be replaced in about another year or two. It's 1988.
Yeah, but
Kinda
the
old.
one you bought is coming out of this, you're gonna reduce this year's fund balance by the same amount as how you bought it?
No, that was in the line item. That's paid for. This 80,000 will be coming out of the existing projected fund balance.
Well, how much was the new front-end loader you just bought?
$152,560.
And it wasn't in your budget?
Yes, it was.
But you paid for it by reducing the...
It was put in the budget.
You're reducing this year's fund balance by that much. Is that right, buddy?
No, next year projected fund balance.
Coming next year.
For 13.
So this 80,000 for 12, 13 will be on top of that.
On top of?
Of the front-end loader you just bought.
No. No, that loader's,
Am I missing something?
that's already bought, paid for out of the capital outlay line item.
Chair would simply make this observation, Commissioner. This is, to my knowledge, has gone to every county which operates its own landfill through the comptroller's office. It has to do with future expenditures. It doesn't mean that you're going to spend any more money or any less money. It's just creating a separate line item by the comptroller's request. And that's
I understand, but if it's coming out of the fund balance, we must first have a fund balance, which I know we do now.
Which we do.
Right.
And my question was, I still didn't know where the $150-some thousand came from for the one you bought a few months ago. It was, time gets away from me, but it was 6 months ago?
Yes, sir.
It was delivered in February, mid-February, when we took delivery of it. That was paid for with capital outlay line item.
This fiscal year. Commissioner Brown.
It comes out of the fund balance, by the way. So the one this year was, in other words, we increased it, whether you call it more spending or whether you call it a special outlay, it still affects the fund balance at the end of this year. So this 80,000 is for future years.
This is for future years.
Was there any rhyme or reason for 80 versus 40 versus 120?
Projected cost on a new roll-off truck right now is going to be between 180 and 200,000. So the next loader, the other bids we took in, they were ranging anywhere from the 150, which was low, up to 185,000. So in 5 years' time, with the new emission standards that have already been put on the current models right now that are being sold, 5 years, new emissions, general increase each year and everything, that's going to be around $190,000, $200,000 for that. So in 5 years, 5 to mate's 40, 200 on truck, 200 on loader, and we're staying on the rotation plan for the loaders every 5 years, and try to get something around 6 to 7 year rotation going on these trucks.
Mr. DeOrio.
Just a question, all major capital outlays will go through the committee for approval?
Right, same as always. All I'm doing with this is setting up a savings account to start putting the money ahead for the things I know are going to be coming about. And I'm planning right now 2-year and 5-year and on out farther. So when the time comes to make the purchase, I've already saved and scraped and got the money sitting there ready to go. And I don't have to come back to the Budget Committee and Commission and ask for $150,000, $200,000 lick all at one time. I'm saving up to be ready for it when the time comes.
So we're going to remain constant for the next 5 years.
Right.
As well, at 80,000.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ray, did you have a
Yes,
question?
I think he answered the question. What my question was going to be, we put this 80,000 in there. Was he going to be able to suspend it at his discretion?
No,
But
sir.
he said no.
No, sir. Will not. Commissioner Stubblefield.
Okay, I evidently missed something. Is this money, 80,000, coming out of your general fund or your debt service to go into the reserve fund?
It comes out of my budget,
Your budget?
out of my budget.
Well, just,
My-
and I'm.
Out of my fund balance. I'll maintain my fund balance and put this 80 off to the side.
Just as a general question, that I'm not opposed to this and I'm going to vote for it, but are you going to ask for an increase in your budget this year?
I should be pretty well status quo on it. I've been running the numbers and we've got some savings where we rebuild our disposal, but I'm looking right now by 5 years from now, this past calendar year, when we did our solid waste report, we were in excess of 43,000 tons inbound across scales. And at the 2.5% to 3% growth that we've been going to, 5 years, we're going to be 50,000 tons or better inbound. So it's not getting any smaller, it's growing, and what I'm doing is trying to work with what I've got to plan to try to handle this over the next 5 years.
Other questions?
This is just for 5 years though, right?
This for 5 for right now, and as time comes along,
After 5 years, that'll be revisited, correct?
5 years, we might roll it over again for 5 years, depending on how
Comptroller's
things go.
office is going to require this, Commissioner.
When I
It'll
presented,
be forever.
when I presented to the Budget Committee, Mr. Tom McAnulty was present also, and he thought that this was very sound financial planning, looking out to the future. You've got things coming, be ready for it.
Other questions? Question been called for. Somebody else have a question? I want to make sure. Question's been called for. If you're in favor of this resolution, please vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 22 votes in favor, 1 opposed, 1 absent, I declare that resolution approved. Recognize now Commissioner Haley for Victims Assistant Assessment Resolution. Commissioner Steve Haley.
Thank you, Mayor Bradley, fellow commissioners, members of the audience. I present to you tonight Resolution 0416120029. If I get a second, we will discuss it.
Second by Commissioner Jackson.
Mayor Bradley, I wish to make D.A. Carney a member of our court, so he could answer anything that I may not be
District
able
Attorney
to.
General John Carney is in the audience, and at your request, and the motion has been made to make General Carney a member of this body. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. So General Carney, if you'll come up and join us, we'll give you an opportunity to address this resolution.
Would you like to take over, Mr. Carney, or you want me to? You go right ahead. I'm behind you. You go right ahead.
We'll find somebody. Attorney General Carney.
You look well.
Thank you.
You look well.
Am I okay?
Go after it.
Bobby. Let me say it's an honor to be here tonight to speak in something that I have taken a strong interest in ever since becoming district attorney, both for Montgomery and Robertson County. Back on May the 12th, 2006, Governor Phil Bredesen passed into law Senate Bill number 1764, which allows the county legislative body to set forth a victims assistance assessment fee for all persons who go through our court systems, all the branches of court that we have, Chancery Court, City Court, General Sessions Circuit. And that is to aid and assist the victims of crimes, their families and survivors for currently existing programs that may already be in existence here in Robertson County And if not, they would be programs that would be set up and approved by the county commission. The legislature allowed that everybody who enters a plea of guilty is found guilty by a judge or jury, enters a plea of nolo contendere, or enters a plea of pursuant to any of the diversionary sentencing statutes, are eligible for a $45 fee attachment to when they are found guilty or are found any other way, either enters a plea of guilty or whatnot within our court, with the court system. The monies, it's a $45 fee that the legislature created back in 2006. $3 of that $45 amount will be going to the clerk's office for a handling process. The remaining $42 would go towards this Victims Assessment program. I am asking the commission tonight to look at allowing that money to come to the district attorney's office, to my office, to be utilized in hiring at a point in time in the future to hire a person that would be a victim witness coordinator for Robertson County. We do not currently in our office have an individual that does that on a full-term basis. We do have, we try to use the staff that we have there to make up for that lack of position. One of these things that can be done, in which I'm pleased to announce that we can do this with this kind of funding, would be to look at forming a children's memorial service. And with that, we would have a monument in a park here in Springfield or in Robertson County designated to form a living memorial for children who have been victims of violent crime and have been involved in homicide. That's one of the things that could do that. We have that in Montgomery County. Come next month, we will have a program set up and invite all of the families to return. It's almost like the program that we do at Christmas time. But this is a chance to recognize the children of violent crime who have died at the hands of violent crime here in Robertson County. And that I ask you to strongly consider that and allow our office to manage that. The funds that you entrust to us, the funding will be at in the clerk's office. Every single penny of it would be documented to where there would not be, hopefully there would not be any question about it, and an audit, yearly to year audit would be conducted on the financing to cover that. And one other thing I might say, I think it's a wonderful program to identify the families and to identify the children that's been murdered here in Robertson County. And if I would be glad to take on any questions pertaining to it if you all have them.
Questions for General Carney? Mr. Eden.
Yes, Mr.
Are
Eden.
we charging this fee now?
No, we're not.
We haven't charged it since.
No, because, no, go.
We're going to start it.
Yes, sir. If the county commission approves it, then we will start it.
And B part, a child is someone 18 years or younger or less than 18 years
Less
old.
than 18.
Mr. Ray.
The $42 fee that you have stated in here, the fees that these people are now being charged with, when they commit a crime, are we having any problems getting that money for people that have committed a crime? Or would this going to be more of a burden on someone that has committed a crime?
It could be, and the people here tonight are here that can address that. I can't address that. But yes, to answer one of your questions, it probably would. A $45 fee may do that. But the way I look at that, the legislature saw fit to set that dollar-tary amount. It can lower it, or it can change it, it can amend it, it can do all of that. But the legislature felt that it was, that's the number that they came about. I don't know how they did that, but that's how they did it.
Mr. Gray.
Yes, Mr.
General, how much of this money that's taken in would go toward salary for this individual you're speaking of?
It would go to the whole salary.
How much salary?
It would, well, let me just say this. We started out with the victim witness coordinator position, which is a state-funded position. We don't have one, but we look at the starting salary of that person, which is somewhere at around $21,000. And we don't know how much in the first year the fund would be. And what we did in Montgomery County, we didn't even do any of this until we were about a year and a half. And then we had the money that was coming in, and we wouldn't have to worry about it hopefully ever depleting the fund by waiting about a year and a half to actually implement it and spend any funding of it. That's what we did in Montgomery County. And
Oh, you hired someone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Commissioner McAfee.
So will you have a separate person here in Robertson County and a separate person then in Montgomery County?
Yes, ma'am.
And the funds will remain separate?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Darsh.
Sir, I would like to make a motion to get Ms. Calendar, she can enlighten everybody, to get Ms. Calendar first, she can enlighten us on what the fees are right now, because I would like people to know what these fees are right now before we can make her a member of the body to answer that question.
Do you have that information available, Ms. Lisa?
As far as
Fees?
the average court cost in circuit court particularly is over $1,000.
Let's go ahead and, I've got a motion to make her a member of the body.
I second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So, Ms. Lisa, if you'll come up, maybe we can pick up better on the microphone, if you don't mind. Ms. Lisa Cavender, our circuit court clerk. So, question. Commissioner Darst, do you have a?
Enlighten us on the amount of fees we already hit people look for when they come to court.
Well, particularly in circuit court, which is the felony court, and this is going to affect both general sessions and circuit. But I would say my average court cost in circuit would be about $1,000, give or take a few hundred, depending on the type of charge. It depends on, each charge is a different amount of fines and court cost. In general sessions, it would be a lower amount, such as maybe $600, $700, $800. This is going to affect Class A and B, I think B misdemeanors, and then all of the felony court cases.
Commissioner Dorio?
Using last year's figures, ballpark, what pot of money are we talking about with these $42?
Well, now, I don't have my figures. I'm not prepared for figures
Right.
or whatever. I don't have a clue.
Has
I
someone
mean,
looked
these
at that?
costs could be waived, and a lot of my court costs are waived. It's extremely difficult for defendants to pay the court costs because they particularly have more than one case usually. So they have several cases they're trying to pay on. And the rate of collecting on cost is very low. Even with I have a collection agency and it's still low.
Commissioner Gray?
What percentage, Lisa, of the fines that are imposed are collected?
I don't have that information available. I would say I collect more in general sessions court than I do in circuit court. I would say, I want to say maybe it's around 65% collection in general sessions, and it would be less than that probably in circuit.
Well, it includes the ones that come before the judge or low-income individuals.
Yes, sir, they are.
Would the $45 fee terribly hard on them?
Personally, I feel it's a huge fee for them. Yeah, I do. I mean, even the court costs keep going up, and right now in front of legislature, we're looking at a possible $300 or $400 in increasing on certain types of cases just this year if they implement, if the legislation passes everything in the state legislation.
$45 million.
Commissioner Bowles?
That was my question about how we're paying now.
Commissioner Vogel?
Kevin, I'm not really familiar with all the fees. I try to stay away from that part of it if I can.
That's good.
But, I don't have a lot of sympathy for criminals. If somebody murders somebody, it don't bother me if they got to pay $45. Y'all have to take, you see where I'm going?
Yeah, I do.
But
I understand.
I think what most everybody's sitting here worried about, if you're trying to collect $45, you can't. You're not going to spend $100 taxpayers' money trying to get $45.
Well, yeah.
I mean, could that happen?
Well, I
think that's what everybody here is.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to collect, and it could be waived. The fees can be waived, so even though.
You wouldn't, you know.
Yeah.
Commissioner Eden?
But Lisa, I didn't hear the first point of part of Commissioner Gray's question, but the bottom line, counting the waived fees and everything, we collect about 65%.
I'm just saying that's an average. I don't have those, I did not come prepared with those types of figures, but I want to say the last time I checked, that's about what it was.
You can safely say we collect half of the fees.
Yes, I mean, particularly in circuit court. Most of those fees are waived because they are indigent. You know, they have court-appointed attorneys.
But by collecting, I mean, we actually get the money for about all of the fees, all the average. Some are waived, some are more, some are less. But when it's all said and done, we collect about half of it. About 50%.
I probably collect about half of what's assessed.
So that wouldn't be counting what's
waived.
Waived
No,
by
no.
the judge.
Commissioner Doris?
Do we collect any other fees for victims right now?
We do. We have a criminal injury comp fund. It can range anywhere from like $26 to $500, depending on the type of charge that it is. And that goes directly, it's paid directly to the injured, the victims. And then we also have a, if there's restitution to be paid, you know, that would be something that would be ordered by the court to pay restitution to victims if, you know, for medical expenses or for property damage or whatever, you know. And then there's also, let's see, I would say I also have there's like $1 for a victim notification fund, and I'm sure there's probably another one or two, but yeah, that we're currently collecting. Restitution, yeah, restitution is one of them.
Commissioner Dorio?
I just would like to ask a question, and I don't know who to direct this to. If we're collecting half of, and we're talking about the court that are indigent, or the criminal that would be doing the crime, we are also talking about collecting if someone's got a speeding ticket in excess of 20 miles an hour?
This would not be for a speeding ticket. This is for any types of cases that would have a $500 or more fine. So your speeding tickets do not qualify for that.
Commissioner Wilson?
It would include reckless driving, I think.
And so, just tell the sheriff that I'm not going to do this, but a scenario would be if I get caught going 20 miles over the speed limit, and that's considered reckless driving, then I would come to court and I would be assessed that $40 to $5 fee, and you're not going to waive that fee. The judge wouldn't waive that fee because I've got a job. But he might waive the same fee for someone who doesn't have a job, drinking or doing reckless driving, correct? So it's not really a fair fee.
Mr. Wilson?
She pretty much answered what I wanted to ask, but you know, like, most of these people are, which I'm not up here to see them, are usually, correct me if I'm wrong, repeat, like, y'all see them over and over again?
Particularly in circuit court.
Last people that low income, like you mentioned a while ago,
They are.
I just don't see how we can put it off on them. I mean, what do we do when we don't pay it, if we don't waive it? We put them in jail? Eventually?
Well, it kind of
I don't
depends
know.
on sometimes they can violate them if there may be a violation of probation, and sometimes there's not anything done, so. I mean, we turn it over to a collection agency, and eventually my collection agency would pick it up.
More if we don't, right?
Well, if we went after it, yeah.
Other questions? General Carney, give you a chance for rebuttal. Yes, sir.
Just a minute. I don't want the county commission to get confused about the victim witness fund compensation. That is by the state. They have to apply for it. They can be turned down for it. And eventually the decision, if there's some squabble about it, that will be resolved by an administrative law judge. So don't get victims' compensation confused with victims' fees. Don't want you to do that. And let me remind you that the district public defender several years ago came to this body, I'm assuming, I know he did in Montgomery County, and was able to get a $12.50 fee for every warrant that was signed in Montgomery County. And that was also done for this county too. So you're already doing it for the defendants. Y'all stand up and speak for the victims and their families. I'm not, and I'll say this to address that issue back there. If I have anything to do with it, we will not waive a fee. And we'll make that argument to the court to do that. But I'm asking you to consider this for the children and the families that have been murdered and what they stand for in this community, that we will never forget them. We will never forget them, and this is one way to do that. Thank you.
Mr. McAfee.
My question is, roughly how many cases do you see a month?
I didn't understand the question.
How many cases per month did they see in the
I
courts?
come with my figures, but I wouldn't know how to break that down to this because I'm looking at the whole picture. When I look at criminal, it's got my traffic in with the figures, so I can't.
Look at traffic, what is your total number? So, yes.
I want to say, in general sessions, did we have around 17,000 cases filed, I think, in general sessions?
Per month?
No, that's a year, per year, yeah. Does that sound about right? That sound about right, okay.
My next question then is, if we don't have enough cases to pay the $21,000 a year for the person's collection of being here in different where does the money come from?
It doesn't come.
I don't know.
Jim Carney.
If it's not generated by the county, then the program will fail. But let me add one final thing, and I can help you. Hopefully, I can help you make the decision about this. A lot of you are confused about all the funds that are now being collected. Put this one on the bottom. Put it on the bottom. That's what we did in Montgomery County. Pay all the other court costs that's needed, and then if they have already paid their court costs, they can pay that amount too. So you have your rank and order of which way these costs are taken out. But you can also fund this thing. If they can pay all the rest of them, they can pay that bottom amount to go to victims' compensation. I mean, excuse me, not victims' compensation, but the assessment.
Mr. Doris.
Mr. Corey, I heard you say something about remember the ones that's been murdered and stuff. Are we gonna take the speeder to 20 miles an hour over to hit them up for the money to build a monument for something like this?
No, and
Or for the reckless driving?
no, that question's already been answered. That it doesn't pertain to a speeding ticket. It does not pertain to anything. It does not pertain to anything that carries a fine of $500 or a citation issue. It's not a part of that.
Mr. McAfee.
What other things are going to be familiar to you besides building monuments?
Well, it can be what you said, what y'all say that it can be for. I mean, y'all are the ones that are having to approve, what are you going to spend this money to do? All we were saying is 21,000 roughly, we generate somewhere around $60,000 a year in Montgomery County. We estimate it'd probably be somewhere around 24,000, 25,000 here.
Mr. Brown.
You talked about salary, obviously, in this individual, and you have one in Montgomery County. What does that individual do? I mean, I think that's the question. In other words, beyond, obviously building a memorial, that's fine, but obviously an individual on salary does something. Could you give us an explanation of what this responsibilities are of this office that you'd like to see created?
They will do the same thing that our victim witness coordinators do now, and that is once the cases go through General Sessions Court, then if we have a homicide victim's family, they will make contact with them right off the bat, work with them, explain the system to them, aid them in any way they can, aid them in filing the appropriate documentation for victims compensation fund. They do all that. They sit with the family when they have trials. They aid the family in any way that they can. Yes, sir.
Mr. Stubblefield.
I'm not against victims. I mean, I want to do anything I can help. Everyone in this room has someone in their family that's been a victim, or they know someone that's been a victim, and we need to do everything we can to help them. But what I see that doesn't have anything to do with what Lisa's talked about or the questions I've asked about reckless driving and anything else is, what I'm seeing is that what this resolution asks the county to do is to administer this apply this $45. Circuit Court Clerk's Office is going to collect it. We're going to attach it on there and collect it. We're going to give it to the Finance Office. The Finance Office is going to have to do additional work to administer that line and to get it over to you. My question to you is, in this resolution, it says to your discretion, that it would be used, the funds would be used to your discretion.
Mm-hmm.
That means we have no control over it, and you really have no, I know you said that you would tell us where you spent the money, but it would be up to you or your office to decide where the money is used, even though we're doing all the work and the work is coming from the, I mean, but we're just going to give a state agency money to do anything they want to with.
Well, we wouldn't do anything we want.
Really? I
No.
mean, you're talking about building monuments and hiring people, and I know you've got Beverly and Donna that are doing some of this now.
Well, that's what this person would do.
Are you intending to do anything else that you, I mean,
Well, that's why I'm here. Y'all are the ones that's making the decision how to spend this money. I'm just asking you that you put it in our office and that it aids the victims of crime, like I've said. We
any way
could,
you want to use it to aid victims of crime, is what I'm asking. I mean, we don't, are you asking us to set the parameters for you using the money?
that's
Or are
what the
you-
law says.
That the county will, I mean, I don't know what the law says, so I'm asking you, is that what this resolution is saying, that is we will tell you, you can use this money to hire a person, to build a park, or whatever, I mean, a monument for the victims, but you can't use it for this, this, or this.
That's right.
That's what the law tells us.
Yes, ma'am. Because you,
We probably need more in this resolution. We need facts in this resolution.
hang on just a minute. Trying to find the law here. And I might add just what it says, whereas TCA 4024-109, which is the statute, it provides that if a county legislative body elects to establish or to fund such programs, it shall, at the time of such election, designate the programs for which the assessment will be used. And that's how the legislature set it up. It's your decision. Y'all are the county body. I'm just making a suggestion to use it that way.
Other questions?
Question.
Question has been called for. Seeing no opposition to question being put, if you're in favor of this resolution, vote yes and confirm. If you're opposed, vote no and confirm at this time. There being 9 votes in favor, 14 opposed, and 1 absent, I declare that resolution has failed. Is there any old business to come before this body? Any new business? Seeing none, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Gray for the election of notaries.
Mr. Chairman, I approve the list of notaries for this session of the commission.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Doris. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion by Commissioner Jones that we adjourn, and second by Commissioner Brown. All those in favor say aye. Stand adjourned.